Anyways, moving on from one war we have no chance of winning to another, it's time for the latest
Delta farce.
This virus is effectively identifying and moving in on the socially disadvantaged.
Yes, and it's looking like the New South Wales healthcare system is under strain.
The situation in our health system has deteriorated. It is now so stretched there are plans to turn firefighters into paramedics.
If you call an ambulance during the peak of Sydney's outbreak, you might get a firefighter instead.
Yes, well, potentially bad news if you're having a heart attack or suffering from severe COVID, but great news if you've still got a frisbee stuck up that tree. Bring the ladder, fireys. And this week in New South Wales, our Premier finally decided that we can have too much of a bad thing and decided to finally axe her daily press conference, leading to this horrific bit of TV editing from 10 News.
Good morning, everybody. 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 Good morning, everybody.
Well, that's a nightmare hellscape if I've ever seen one. And speaking of 10 News, they weren't on Gladys' side about this.
The Premier slammed for her surprise call to scrap her daily news updates on the COVID crisis. Is it an epic fail in reading the room?
No, it turns out Gladys did read the room, and all the room was asking about was her ex-lover's ICAC investigation and if she'll be appearing.
The reason we are going to be seeing you less at the 11 a.m. conferences because you have been called to appear.
Oh, gosh.
The ICAC coming.
Oh, look, as I said, I don't have anything to add on that matter.
We're asking whether you've been called to give evidence at private hearings. So that's a yes, no?
No, as I said, it's inappropriate to comment on any ongoing matters.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that room every day either. The Premier, of course, said that despite axing the daily briefings, she'll still be held accountable. Just at the time of her choosing.
The Premier now deciding when she needs to be accountable.
This is all about making sure that we provide good government to the people of New South Wales, and the Premier of the state should front to the people when she needs to make sure people know when there's a major milestone or a major issue or when I feel I need to be accountable.
That's not how it's supposed to work. It's a bit like saying you're only going to go to school on their pupil-free days. No, the job is doing your job every day. And then in typical fashion, the Premier backflipped and decided to hold a news conference anyway.
The first day too, or so we'd been told, without a regular 11am news conference, which the Premier marked by holding an 11am news conference.
Yes, the Liberals even break their promises when the promise is to literally do nothing. And then they still deny it.
Sunday will be the last day we officially do the press conferences in this way.
But this morning she was back before the cameras.
No, I was always scheduled to do today.
Geez, no wonder COVID took over New South Wales. The government literally can't plan their own diary 3 days ahead without changing their plans and denying they're changing their plans. Meanwhile, in Sydney weather news, to quote Nelly, it's getting hot in here.
Our hottest weekend since January has sent thousands to the beaches and the parks across the city.
The eastern beaches of Sydney were packed. In the west and southwest, outdoor community pools remained closed.
Yes, but even with the days getting hotter, Gladys insists there's no need to open the pools in Western Sydney.
Can you open pools in southwest and Western Sydney?
Look, there are very difficult decisions we have to take. There are waterways all across Greater Sydney, all across parts of Sydney.
Yeah, kids, there's waterways all across Sydney. Go swim in that stormwater drain. Surely you've got a gutter nearby. Well, what could go wrong? And don't worry if you get stuck up on the roof. You can call an ambulance and the fireys will come and get you down. Meanwhile, as it comes to us opening up in mid-October, when we reach 70% double vaccination, Gladys says it can only be for the fully vaccinated.
If you aren't vaccinated, forget about Freedom Day. That was the clear message from the Premier today.
Pubs, restaurants and shops will be legally required to turn unvaccinated patrons away.
I don't want people to think they can sit back, let everybody else do the hard work, and then turn up when it's 80% and get everything else that vaccinated people are. That is not the right message.
Yeah, but if that's not the right message, then why did your deputy say it on the radio that morning?
John Barilaro said while things won't open to the unvaccinated at 70% double dose, they will soon after.
If they don't want to do it, that's fine. But you might have to wait another 3 to 4 weeks after that. When we get to 80% and above, we'll go and then lift further restrictions, including for the unvaccinated.
Wow, what a way to encourage people to get vaccinated. You don't want to get vaccinated? Well, fine, just wait a couple more weeks. Some small business owners are conflicted about how they're going to enforce turning unvaccinated people away.
We've had customers who have been loyal for 23 years You know, and how do you say no to them if they're not going to be vaccinated? I haven't worked it out yet.
That's funny. Restaurants and nightclubs don't seem to have any trouble turning me away when I turn up in thongs and a singlet because it's unhygienic and I foul the place up. Maybe they should just think of vaccines as being like fancy dress shoes, but for your immune system. Meanwhile, we're also getting our first glimpse of what Sydney's return to freedom could look like after 4 months in lockdown.
Chris, you have breaking news on what Sydney's first event with crowds is likely to be.
It will be the Everest at Royal Randwick, Preda, Australia's richest horse race. Now, 9 News has learned that Racing New South Wales and the Australian Turf Club is trying to get an exemption for a 5,000-person crowd, regardless of when the state hits the 70% target. I'm told it will almost certainly be rubber stamped when it gets to cabinet.
Look, I've said it before, but we need to figure out a way that people can gamble on the arts in this state, so that the gambling lobby can make the government care about some culture for a change. Hey, Sportsbet, why can't I bet on the odds of the opening night film of the Sydney Film Festival having a gratuitous sex scene in the first 10 minutes? Or how about betting on the Archibald Prize being awarded to some obscure, hokey, feel-good amateurish piece? Now that's something I'd like to bet on.